Okay, so I'm going to do one piece. The first piece is going to be about the environment. And then the last and final piece is sort of about remembering who we are. And we're super unique as Indigenous people here. And one thing that I kept noticing coming up for people is this feeling of being the only one of your kind in a space. And I just want you to remember that there is nobody in this entire country that belongs in a space more than you do. In any space, whether that's a college, whether that's a friend group, like you more than anybody in this country belong in every single space. Like, don't forget that, okay? When did you forget that you can't live without the earth? When did you forget that you will suffocate without trees? How did they cut down the forest that you hold in your limbs? How did they drain you of the creeks and the riverbanks in your veins? What made you bring your mother to her knees and made you walk away while you watched her beg you from the street? What made you never go back to see if she'd survive that kind of heartbreak? Day's opposition played asphyxiation with a ribbon made from chaotic city light constellations, held me close, whispering radiation waves into the shoreline of my hair. This sounded like harps, but it felt like spiders in my ears. As I drove through this labyrinth of stoplights and traffic, in this machine that they say takes you to your dreams, it's only ever taken me to skyscrapers and greed. To a place that harvests from our mother's bones, carves her deeply, and sews her up with concrete bandages, binding her growth to her sides, ignoring her suffocation, until her skin grows hot over time to constrict her breathing to a pattern that she doesn't know. I can see her breathing through the manholes. Just because you can't see her behind these buildings and roads doesn't mean she isn't there. We watch from our couches the axis of her balance melt away, and we watch her love meet a drought that dries her eyelids into cracked deserts and her eyelashes into dead trees. We cover up her points of pulse so we don't have to deal with ignoring her heartbeat. We bask in these indoor pools while neglecting lakes and oceans, drinking our bottled water, discarding the remains inside her while forgetting how to breastfeed from her streams. How bad she hurts is how bad we hurt. And I've always wondered if any of my lovers could ever feel the waves in my veins crashing into the expectation of my spine. In an open lot off the freeway, I lie face and belly down so the earth can coax my metronome back to her beginning, so our heartbeats can sync, so my body can remember that her land has more cuts and more bruises, more life and is more fluid than what I tell myself I have endured. They say when you're lost, you should go home. Come home to your mother's heartbeat. Come home to your father's days. Come home from the moon to remember how you're made. And I found her there where I left her. And I spoke to her in the love language of her childhood, in the melody of her beginning, in the deep breathing of the truth to go back to the first speakers, the first leaders, the first doctors, the first healers, the first scientists, the first people, the first womb to carry all of us. She shifted in her nature, and her posture became my spine. She stretched her branches around me to deliver oxygen into my worth through my ears. And she held my back against her chest. And we listened to the leaves talk to each other about their day. Her eyes became an omnipresent in which I've never felt more secure. When will you remember how you're alive? Thank you. Because, we can't be here without Earth, and I think that we know that, and we are the original environmentalists. And, all of you come from the first people live here, which is why you belong in every space that you're in all the time. And so the last one I'm going to do is actually my most favorite thing I've ever written. And it's something that, it's kind of weird because I like listen to it and try to forget that it's me, because I think it was a reminder of that feeling that you're talking about, of not feeling welcome in spaces or feeling a little off or whatever, and I know what that feels like. But that's kind of what this next piece is about, to kind of empower you to remember that you have a lot of things inside of you, but I won't give that away, I'll just do the poem. Beauty is not a label that we place on the world. The world is the result of speaking beautifully. When you look out across the length of open roads, between rolling hills and plateaus, know that you are our home. You are breath and blood. You are skin and touch. You're a person who deserves to pursue as many firsts as it takes to determine your worth. You hold forests in your limbs. You have the creeks and the river banks in your veins. And the air in your lungs is your bloodline's breath, drawing into you thousands of years of certainty. You are the cerulean vigor of our roots, with the depth of canyons behind your ribs. And the distance to the sky in your eyes is close enough to cut patterns out of the clouds and stitch the stars together as they rise up from behind your nose. When I caress your profile against the high noon sun, it's to remind you that you're different because you've always been the same. Stitch me to my origins. Tell me the story of our beginning again. How beautiful to never search for who you are, even if you think you're not always sure. Because no one can disturb the way that prayers the verbs that have shaped our world, or the worth that runs blood vessel deep to keep us in sync with the roots of our herringbone reach. Everything you need is here, in the millenniums of certainty living in your mirror. Thank you guys so much for having me tonight. This has been awesome. And thank you for everybody that shared and performed. And if you are somebody who you didn't want to get up here tonight and you do create, just keep doing it. Not that anyone asked for my advice, but I'm going to give you some. Keep creating, keep writing, keep telling stories, and most importantly, keep telling the truth. And you are valid and you are allowed in every single space, and you belong more than anybody does in this country, on this land, in these spaces. Thank you so much.